think, Nicole, you're 100% right that we've got to try. It's often difficult to make national security and foreign policy arguments in the midst of a campaign. But I appreciate all of the national security experts from both sides of the aisle who are coming forward and putting their names to statements and giving interviews because they are trying to sound the alarm. And I think there needs to be linkages. When you think about the national security implications of a foreign adversary interfering with our election, that should certainly catch the attention of voters regardless of party. And I think you have to make the case, as the Senate Intelligence Committee has. When you see the constant sort of incoherence of the Trump foreign policy as applied to China, for example, that goes right to the heart of not only our economy and prosperity, but also our security and our strategic advantage around the world. I think you have to link it to what people are talking about and worrying about. And it isn't easy, but it will break through to some. We don't need everybody to pay attention to the national security concerns if we can get enough people to do that. Because this election is going to turn on aggregating groups of people who are worried about what Trump represents. And as I said last night, are, I hope, paying attention to the positive agenda that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are putting forward. Because, for example, Joe has a great plan about reshoring a lot of essential manufacturing so that we saw what happened with the pandemic and our dependence on pharmaceuticals and personal protective equipment and a lot of other essential items dependent upon China. We need to bring that home. We need to use the Defense Production Act to make sure that we can take care of not only our own national needs, but then be a contributor to global needs as well. That's just one example. And there are many of them. So as the campaign really kicks off, I think that bringing to the forefront, having these people on your shows will really make a difference. It will break through to some people who will begin to draw the connections. I mean, why is Michael Hayden so worried about, Donald Trump? He's identified as a Republican. He's identified as being on the kind of conservative side of national security. Why is Colin Powell, who, yes, he's endorsed other Democrats, but he's never spoken at a convention before, and he's somebody who has been in the inner circle. Why is he so concerned? And I think if we can somehow get the message across that these men, and they're predominantly men, not exclusively, have served our country in peace and war. They've been in that situation room. They've been confronted with the kind of really difficult choices that a president or a national security advisor or joint chiefs of staff or defense secretary has to understand and then decide about. And they're worried about Donald Trump because as bad as Trump has been for the last 3.5 years, I don't know what would happen to our country in terms of the danger to America, the danger to our economy, the danger to our interests around the world if he had no accountability staring him in the face at all. So I think it's important. And Nicole, I appreciate the way you often come back to that on your show and try to keep those national security issues front and center.